Okay. Once again, good morning for those who just joined us in the United Kingdom, and good afternoon for those who just joined us in Indonesia. Back with me again, Rizka Maulida, and we are entering our second ministerial talk on the day 2 of the 20th ISIC, which is titled In This Together, Fighting the Pandemic Through Equality and Fairness. I would like to welcome our special guest for our second ministerial talk, Mr. Mahendra Siregar, Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. Sir, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It is such an honor to have you with us today. How are you today, sir? I hope you're well.
It's my very pleasure to be here, and yes, I'm fine, and I wish all of you stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, sir. So without further ado, I'll just move on to our sessions, and I'll be asking several questions related to, well, it's still related to the COVID-19 pandemic, but this time we are going to discuss about vaccine equity. So as we know that Indonesia is driving the COVAX initiative. So the first question for me is, does COVAX target of vaccinating 20% of the population of its 92 target countries be enough to reflect the ambition of providing global vaccine equity? And why is it important, sir?
Well, the straight answer would be no. It's not sufficient, because now, after we endure this pandemic for a year and a half now, we understand that it would require a critical level of 70% if we want to achieve the so-called herd immunity. So the 20% that is aimed by COVAX facility is very much inadequate to achieve that herd immunity. Having said that, we also have to understand the reality of the supply and the access of vaccine to the world, especially to the low and middle income countries. And this is where we want to ensure as much as possible with this limited amount of supply of vaccines, the access, the equal principle and the fairness for those who have less possibility because of their system, their low income, would not be left behind, because the nature of this pandemic is very clear. Unless the whole world globally have access and can be uplifted from this pandemic, then the world is not safe.
Thank you very much for your and for the answer. And I'll move on to my next question, which is very important. So how is Indonesia's leadership in COVAX AMCEG can ensure a fair and equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines globally, even though the current rollout has been slow and the high-income countries have been stockpiling most of the vaccine? What can be improved from the current scheme to accelerate the rollout?
Well, as the co-chair of the COVAX AMC facility, the Indonesian foreign minister, of course, is very much the strong proponent of equal access and fair principle for all people. Because, again, the nature of this situation is very clear. We are racing against time. The level of pandemic to spread around the world is so fast on one hand, and on the other hand, only some countries that have the facilities that can develop vaccines can produce it. So as co-chair and as a principle of Indonesian-owned foreign policy to promote equal justice to all, we have to remind some other countries and the world that we have to provide the transparency, the fairness, the equal distribution, And of course, as much as possible, increase the capacity of the vaccine production itself. So now we have increased the ambition from the 20% that has been stated by the end of this year. The Director General of the WHO has increased the ambition to 40%, double the original target. But for Indonesia alone, it is very clear, while we want to promote the better, fair, and transparent governance of the multilateral system of the COVAX facility, we also want to get a faster and larger access to vaccines. So we also promote the bilateral approach to specific countries that already produce the vaccine. So in our case, we will not wait only until the multilateral system provide us, because for us, it's still too late for us to wait on that with the size of our country. Now, we already have access to basically more than half of the 70%. It's a matter of time. We want to speed up the arrival of the vaccines from various producing countries. And of course, COVAX facility provide this additional and complete the whole number required by Indonesia. But on the other hand, we try to get our access faster through other channels in addition to the multilateral.
Thank you, sir. So one last question for you. From the perspective of foreign affairs, what do you think would be better prepared for future pandemics?
Well, for the global level, it's very obvious that we need to continue improving the multilateral system so that the global access to all countries, to all communities, to all peoples, especially those who have low and middle income capacity, would not be left behind. So that's for sure. As for Indonesia, I think the most important lesson learned that we have to revisit, improve continuously our health services and its system. It is not adequate. It is not sufficient. We need to improve in all aspects, in the hospital systems, in the production system of the therapeutic, of medicines, of the vaccines, of the equipments, of the capacity of the human resources, the doctors, the nurses, and many aspects. So this is a very important lesson learned that we have reached up to this stage. So we better make sure we'll improve our situation and make use this lesson learned. Otherwise, it would be, not through a great and painful experience would be wasted.
Okay, thank you very much for answering all the questions today. And now I think we all realize that we cannot depend solely on Ministry of Health to tackle the pandemic. Of course, the Ministry of Health is the leading command for should be the one who will tackle most of the problem. However, in here that we know that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have such a big role in for Indonesia to tackle the pandemic. Thank you very much.
The whole nation and the whole people. It's not just the ministries.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Rizka.
Thank you
All the very best in your career and your study. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahendra, for sharing with us today. I hope you have a great day. And thank you everyone for listening to this Ministerial Talk.